If you're looking for a great road trip a couple of hours north of Toronto, you have to check out Penetanguishene. I drove my family up there for a weekend getaway, mostly just expecting some fresh air and a scenic view of the bay. The bay is stunning, but the very first thing that caught our eye when we hit the waterfront were these two massive historic ships, docked right in the water. We had absolutely no clue what they were, or why they were parked in this quiet Ontario town. It turns out, this peaceful bay holds a massive secret tied to a war that completely shaped North America. Let's dive in. During the War of 1812, Canada didn't even exist as a country. Down south, the United States was already a fully independent, separate nation that had owned its sovereignty decades prior. When the War of 1812 broke out between the British Empire and the United States, this entire region became a critical frontier defense line. As the British and American navies were going at it on the Great Lakes, the British realized they were incredibly vulnerable. They desperately needed a secure, hidden supply route away from the American eyes. They were guided through the complex maze of inland rivers and portages by First Nation guides, without whose crucial knowledge the military would have never found this hidden spot. Following these routes, the British formally acquired the land from the Ojibwe Nation through the 1798 Penetanguishene Bay Purchase for a mere 101 pounds in Quebec currency.
The Civil War, the war that the Americans won their freedom with, we failed miserably because they won their freedom, obviously. That's why we failed. We lost because they got their independence. So because of that, we knew we needed a base. We needed a better base. So John Gracinko went to the Chippewa people. He got them in a canoe. He said, "Hey, can you guys take me around the area so I can see about any potential places for a base?" They're like, "Sure." So he took him around the area. He came over here and he saw Penetanguishene Bay, beautiful Georgian Bay. And he was like, "It's tucked away, hid out of sight. No one can find it. It's hard to find." Treaty 1795 was the Ontario Treaty, also as a Penetanguishene Purchase, Treaty 5, and it saw all the land in Penetanguishene being purchased from the Chippewa people.
They turned this bay into a heavily guarded naval and military base. We saw the steamer where massive logs were made pliable for shipbuilding, and the forge where they hammered out the irons. What made it incredibly authentic was that our guide was actually related to the Métis people who helped the British during the war. Her own great-great-grandfather used to work right here, making nails for these exact ships.
Care about us much? We were given iron. So the iron barrels get filled up with water. There's a fire underneath. The water gets boiled into steam, which steam will rise up through those pipes into those boxes called coffins. And then those coffins have planks in them, which will be then malleable after 6 to 8 hours, depending on how hard or soft your wood is. The wooden board, we bend it and we put it right over that frame and nail it in with nails. And that's how we make a ship. Or repair a ship. So yeah, wow! Drummond is part of Georgian Bay. It is the biggest lake we have. It's also the deepest lake we have. It's about 300 feet deep. Wow. Yeah. 300 feet. Oxen shoes, hooks, chains, nails, musket repairs, nails. Did I say nails? I said nails a ton of times. Yes, tons of nails. Hundreds of thousands of them. You wouldn't believe how many nails it takes to repair 70 buildings and 4 different ships. Two people would be in here. One guy was named Robert Dickinson. The other was Jean-Baptiste Trudeau. Robert Dickinson was English. Trudeau was Métis. Trudeau married a young woman named Angelique, and there he had with his girl Angelique a gorgeous family and a gorgeous life. Child of Jean-Baptiste Trudeau. Oh. I am his great-great-granddaughter, 6th generation down. So my family history literally ties into this place entirely. How to hunt, how to trap, how to survive. So without us, all the Brits would be dead. So you're welcome, Brits. We saved you guys. And because of that, they thought that it was demons inside your head. So what they do is they drill a hole into your skull to get the demons out. Now, people did live through it. We have evidence of skulls that are still kind of fresh with holes in them.
But life here wasn't easy. By the 1820s, the government instituted massive budget cuts. The funding dried up, making an already harsh wilderness life incredibly difficult for the people stationed here. And then, borders shifted. Following a post-war treaty, a major British military post on Drummond Island further west was suddenly handed over to the United States. The entire British garrison, along with the traders and families, had to pack up all their belongings and migrate across the water to Penetanguishene. It completely transformed the town.
So 1814, the war finally ended with the Treaty of Get being signed. It was here, the Navy was here until 1820s. In the 1820s, the government does what government does best. Budget cuts. The base had 60 to 70 people in 1817. By 1822, when the first cuts happened, it went to 9. The 9 people could not take care of the buildings, could not take care of the ships. So all the buildings that you see, I'll just say, when you go outside about your own time, were falling apart. They were deteriorated, they were inhabitable. The ones that were inhabited had people in them. So in 1828, the government did something that they always do. They don't tell people anything. They leave it till last minute. A whole garrison on Drummond Island was coming. Drummond Island, which is on the northern tip of Michigan, was being transferred over to America due to a border agreement when we made the border. They could have put the border a little lower, you know? They could have made it lower and run around. No, they made it go right around and they made the border in a horrible way, in my opinion. But anyway, Drummond Island was given to Michigan. That meant that the whole garrison of troops that were on that island had to be relocated. And where do we relocate them? Where's the closest base? Penetanguishene! Why not? They basically sent over 100 soldiers and about 70 civilian families. Half of them were Métis families. Both my sides of my families were included in that transfer over. So the Métis people went and made a village. They did a small pioneer village style thing, and Penetanguishene was started making a village. The soldiers were stuck here in tents. Now the married soldiers who had a wife and kid, we didn't put them in tents. No, that's heartless of us. We put them in the sailors' barracks. That was still standing. The officers, the rich class men, got to be with the other rich class men because you can't put rich class and low class together. That's anarchy.
Next, we met a guide in a full British red coat uniform. She showed us how they survived the elements in simple canvas tents and utilized birchbark canoes. Then came the musket demonstration. She gave us some really cool facts, like why they used these specific muskets even though they were wildly inaccurate at long distances, and how fast a soldier had to reload under pressure. It really puts the reality of the war into perspective.
Had to move, and so they picked Penetanguishene. Yeah. A bayonet strap or cartouche strap, those have to be white, and so I would have to take ply chalk and make sure that my uniform is in a good state of repair as well, as other than just looking the part with being well shapen. I asked to wash my hands because I am shooting with a lot of gunpowder, and gunpowder is explosive, and so they don't want you to die until you are actually in war. And then your feet, because you're marching and that is your main mode of transportation, and so you don't want trench foot or anything like that because you're marching a whole multiple times for long hours, and so you want your feet to be washed and clean. Are a ballistic dormitory, so that's the reason why they used a musket though instead of something that you can aim is the idea was quantity over quality. So you would have thousands of soldiers lined up shooting, and eventually you're gonna hit something, and that was how warfare was at the time, and that's why they chose muskets over some that you can aim, because when you have more of them you're going to land bullets. It's also quite easy to train on them, which also helps. The average soldier time was about 15 seconds, so a trained British soldier could shoot 4 times a minute. They trained 3 times a day with live rounds, and 4th as a punishment. Other than this weapon not being able to be aimed, it also misfires about 1 out of 10 times. So gunpowder is kind of finicky. She likes to be choosy. If it's raining, she doesn't go off. So the Battle of Waterloo was actually postponed because it was raining and their muskets wouldn't go off. Also, if it's humid out, I might misfire today because of the moisture in the air. but also if I don't load enough gunpowder into my pan, or if my flint doesn't make enough sparks. Those are also reasons why my weapon won't go off. With this gun is that in the Canadas and Americas, it is seen as like a symbol of freedom because it's the gun that helped them win the Revolutionary War. But across every other place that the British were, they colonized with this gun, and so it's a symbol of oppression and fear, and because they used it to point at people and take that land over. And so even though I'm going to be shooting it and it's going to look really cool, it's important to remember that it doesn't have a fun history at all. So
firing 3 times for us today. The first shot will be under command, where I'm going to call out all of the maneuvers that she needs to do to load and fire this gun. The next 2 will be in her own time, which is where she will as quickly yet as safely as possible fire the gun. This is mimicking more what they would do in an actual battle situation, whereas under command is what they would do when they were training. 68, prepare to load. Handle cartridge. Prime. Cast about. Load. Draw ramrod. Ram down cartridge. By the left shoulder, arms.
That is awesome.
Make ready.
The black powder, and if you have more questions, I'm happy to answer.
Present.
Absolutely.
Fire.
I'm one of the animals.
After the demo, we took some time to just wander the harbor. The cute cottages and the cool light tower made an amazing backdrop. But the absolute highlight was the museum. Remember those two ships we saw at the beginning? Inside the museum, you can see the actual excavated remains of the original HMS Tecumseth. Knowing the history now, we walked back out, stepped aboard the walking replica in the harbour, and just took it all in. You can almost feel what it was like to sail one of this out into the war zone.
On a replica, but the original was built in 1815. She actually sunk in 1822 that way, about 100 yards into like the reeds over there.
Okay.
Yeah. So the original was actually pulled out of the water in 1953 and is in our museum at End of Sight. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you've been there, that's what that
Yes.
was. Yeah. You guys can head below deck if you'd like, and you can let me know if you have any sort of questions.
Come on.
After exploring the ship, we sat silently in the harbour, soaked in the last bit of the view, and enjoyed our snack before heading back home.